Oh, g'day Rugby League fans. Just a quick note to let you know that Mad Monday is now officially sponsored by 4 and 20 Pies. They are the original fan food of Rugby League. The ACC freezer is now stacked with them. Traveller pies, actually, rectangles that if you are eating them on the go, you won't spill flaming hot mints all over your crotch there. You can get them at supermarkets and at Mount Smart if you are watching the Wars live. But enough about pies. Let's get into some NRL chat, shall we?
Kia ora, Rugby League fans. Welcome to the Mad Monday podcast, live from the Export Beer Garden studio, coming to you on another beautiful and sunny Monday after a Warriors win. We're 5 from 7. The smiles are everywhere. Joining me for the potty today is the wonderful Ben Hurley. How does it feel being 7 games into a season and we're racking up the wins, bro?
Mate, we are third on the table. I keep looking at it. I keep staring at it. I think it's a mistake. I rub my eyes. I pinch myself. I give myself just a little uppercut just to make sure I'm awake and I'm alive. And I am alive, and it's real. Third on the table, and this isn't after 1 or 2 rounds. This is after 7 rounds.
Yes, a quarter of the season has gone, and we're in a great place. And we're not in a great place from a fluke either. All these wins have all shown a lot of promise. Great attacking flair, great defence. I mean, we'll rip into the game we just watched shortly. But there's so much to like from the Warriors going forward, and it almost gives you the feeling we might jag a win against one of these big teams.
Yeah, well, over the last couple of years, we've all sort of picked our second teams. And I know, you go with the struggling little club called the Sydney Roosters, just because they're sort of just battlers from Double Bay, living off kale smoothies and foie gras. But my second team is the Cowboys, who have been incredibly unlucky that they've come up against a rampant Warriors side twice in 7 weeks and lost both times.
Yeah, the Cows, they're not going to feature in our stonker or our special mention, but the Cows, they sort of fell off a cliff. A lot of people were picking them to be exactly where the Warriors are on the table, but the Cowboys are languishing at 16th. The only people behind them, the West Tigers, who can't do anything. Although a big congrats to the Tigers for getting the 2 points on the weekend and beating the bye. There was actually a bit of talk that they might lose that one, but congrats.
Yeah, the poor old Tigers. Less said about them, the better, because Tim Sheens might call for another review and give himself the CEO position as well as coach. Let's not talk about the Tigers, but poor old. I don't know what it is with the Cowboys. They've got such a star-studded team. I love them. They've got just stars all across the back. But like people like Taumalolo went missing again this week, and up against a very, very tight-knit Warriors pack, couldn't make an impact.
Yeah, I find it strange as well because Todd Payton showed from last year. He turned that team around from 15th to top of the table almost last year, and something's just not clicking. They look really dangerous in attack when they lose that clunkiness, but I'd expect to see them a lot higher. And looking at the table where the Warriors are at third, behind them are great teams: Manly, South Sydney, Cronulla, Melbourne. Then in 8th is the Dolphins. And this is what gives me the good vibe about the Warriors. The Dolphins shot out early, right? Winning games. Then they just started losing and they're dripping back. But the Warriors, we won, lost, won a couple, lost, won again. So it's not like we sort of fired our bullets, then we're just getting hammered.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure what the deal is with the Dolphins. I think they're just probably suffering a little bit from that new team syndrome where it was all adrenaline and emotion early on, and now that everybody's starting to click, and something you said to me over the weekend, actually, Di, was those big teams are just starting to click now, and it'll be interesting to see how far they can go. Teams like the Roosters, although they lost on the weekend, the Broncos, the Panthers,
South
and
Sydney.
a little team called South Sydney, and a little team called the New Zealand Warriors as well.
Oh, we're all clicking and talking about the Warriors. Let's rip into the game we just witnessed on the weekend. The Warriors winning with a sweet 8-point lead, 22-14 over the North Queensland Cowboys.
Shawnee Johnson
J,
has
another
it on
stab.
the 40.
Oh, regather. Fresh set.
Fresh set. Dylan Walker. Because Dylan Walker, wearing the number 6 jersey, gets over the line and scores. Talk about a turnaround. Talk about an explosion of mana from the Warriors. They do exactly what was needed. Get points on the board. Who cares about the possession stats when you're in the lead? Peasy, how good was that?
How good was the regather from Shaun Johnson? On the toe, off the shin, back up to his hands, fresh set to Dylan Walker. Sold the best dummy. He sold it with the eyes and then straight through. And I tell you what, he had a bit of an up and down first half, but he's more than made up for it with that fantastic try, Dylan Walker.
It's a penalty to the Warriors.
Go for the try.
On the Cowboys' 20-metre line. Don't go to the try. Don't listen to Kesey. He's been sinking piss at the Red Fox Tavern for a week. It's that moment, like on your honeymoon when you walk into the hotel room and then, you've just done your scenario and you think it's all over for the night. But then you have a second win.
Yeah.
And that second win brings it home, and you have 25,000 Mad Warriors fans standing around a double bed cheering you on. I love it. I think I mixed my metaphors here, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Oh, certainly do. And I told you that story about the honeymoon and confidence, by the way. So
sorry about that,
cheers
Kesey.
for bringing it up. As Shawnee J.
Shawnee J kicks it over. The Warriors have an 8-point lead, 22-14.
Yeah.
And there is 3 minutes 30 to play in this game.
Yeah, chance nickel Kesey.
Yeah, chance nickel Kesey. Safe play. Don't kick it. Just hand it over. As we hit the 80-minute mark, the Warriors' hands go in the air. The game is called. The siren happens, and it is an 8-point lead to the mighty New Zealand Warriors. I tell you, the Export Beer Garden studio is covered in excitement.
There we go. It was exciting indeed. Another tight little a game that does go down to the wire. Even though it was 8 points, it felt at any minute that could go to the Cowboys, because I've got to say, it wasn't the prettiest game of rugby league. There were a lot of errors on both sides. If you were to just not look at the scoreboard and to look at the stats of that game, I don't know how the Warriors won that. Possession, Ben, was 56-44 to the Cowboys. Completion rate was 86% Cowboys, 77% Warriors. They just ran over 300 more metres than us. They had 50 more runs than us, but we got the chocolates.
Well, we talk about Todd Payton. He's basically done everything he can do. If you win in every stat category except the score line, then you're almost doing everything you can. I mean, what is the difference? It's a little bit of X Factor. It's a little bit of Shawnee J. Back to his best, possibly even better than his best. It's guys stepping up out of position. It's Dylan Walker playing 6. He's not a natural 6. He's a ball-playing back rower, really, and he did a perfectly good job. It's Adam Fanua-Blake rolling over the try line with, I know there was only 13 Cowboys on the field, but I think he took 16 with him over the try line. That was an unbelievable try.
And bear this in mind. The Warriors were missing, statistically, their 2 best forwards in Mitch Barnett and Marata Niokore, plus 2 spine members of Wade Egan and Tamari Martin. They're big outs. That's enough for a team to lose a game. And the Warriors are just stepping up and delivering. And this is what's really showing me it has a lot to do with Andrew Webster, the coach. Because it's like one player out. It's like the old school Melbourne system. It didn't matter who you lost, someone else would step up and fill that gap. And you mentioned Dylan Walker. This year I was intrigued to see him play 6 because he's a bigger body now. He's a bigger unit who is playing in the middle. But he dropped the ball a couple of times, but, the Warriors had a bit of a shambles with that anyway. He was running nice lines, but it's all around that man, Shaun Johnson. Finally, he is just really clicked, and I'd hasten to say he's almost in better form than when he started his career because he's got a bit more game management about it.
Yeah, I agree. I know I say this every week, but Chance was great as well. Just such a non-stop effort from the guy. He is, as Manaia said, he's a solid fullback without being, without kind of having that razzle dazzle of a Reece Walsh. But that's exactly what we need.
Yeah,
and he did it again.
I've been thinking about that a bit. He ran 181 metres off 19 runs. He got the most metres for the Warriors players. He was only eclipsed, actually, in the entire game by Talangi, who ran 5 more metres than him, and he had a blinder of a game for the Cowboys. But I believe that Chance is more important to the team than if we had Reece Walsh. Reece Walsh is in an amazing backline at Brisbane, right? He has just got players he can chuck through gaps. He's got players that just naturally run good lines, and he can set them on fire. He can be the little fuse when he jinks across. The Warriors, if anything, are probably under strength, although I'm really liking how they're playing, would be our centres. The younger, we've been mucking around a bit with wingers. We've got Montoya settled, but Cossey's still settling. So there's not that backline to run and throw flick passes and just set alight. So having a staunch fullback that doesn't drop the ball, that does... Chance is doing harder hit-ups than some of the forwards. He gets bent over and just still keeps pushing for a few metres every time he gets the ball. And he is just getting the Warriors off to a good start set-wise. And my breakout player from the last couple of games is Tom Ale. He is stepping up. He's actually overtaking Bunty as the sort of off-the-back fence runner.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I wanted to mention Bunty actually because his work rate has been down the last few weeks, but I think it was better this week. You'll have the stats in front of you, but I think he ran more metres than he has in the last few weeks. It certainly seemed that way.
To be honest, he still only ran 56 metres off 5 runs, so he's not getting much more than 10 metres on average for a run. He's having 28 minutes on the park, but however in that he did make 28 tackles, so he's still tackling a lot. But I did watch this game back because I'm a massive Bunty fan, and I've just he has gone missing in the 2 games before this, and I think compared to a few other people, you can't fully judge him on the runs because he does those hit ups when you're in a bad spot and you don't have much room to move. So he's actually, the defence is getting up on him and he's only getting 5 metres, then he's pushing forward 2 or 3 metres more. So it's hard to judge, but I think I just like the fact that Ale is popping off, so it makes Bunty fight for his position.
Yeah, absolutely. Another player I wanted to mention, great comeback from the captain, Tohu Harris. You don't really realise how much you miss him until he's come back. Almost, he was huge in this game as well. Just the full, the full package, isn't he? Like across, he can do everything. You don't see him kick too often, but he can.
Yeah, and he embodies the word mana. I think he has so much respect from our players and the other team. But you're right. He is so important when Tamate and Wade Egan are missing because he's a ball player. He marshals troops. So what we did miss, I'd say Freddie Lussick stepped up. Like he wasn't a bad player. I think he's had 2 outings where he has he should get an honourable mention because he's playing hard, but he doesn't have the jink that when I say playing hard, he made one run for 2 metres, which is not what you see from a Wade Egan or something like that. So we're really gonna, I think, Te Mare Martin and Wade Egan are going to be massively missed when we come up against the teams like the Storm, Panthers, and Roosters.
Yes, absolutely. What else did I have down here? I thought Jackson Ford had a very good game as well.
His handling was a little bit dodgy. He had a.
Well, speaking of that was the other thing I was going to mention was Josh Curran, and you know how much of a big fan I am of his. He did have one very, very bad missed tackle, but also scored a huge try. So, you know, I think he's done that 2 games in a row, actually.
Yeah, he sort of made quite a high grab on Cotter, who was just hooning through the line, running a beautiful line. And he just made that grab, and Cotter put a good fend on him, so he couldn't get anything on him. Jackson Ford, though, full respect. He's a younger guy. I mean, he came from the Dragons, so he's got experience. But he played the full 80 minutes. He had that one shocker off the penalty where he dropped the ball, you know, running off the tap, which is sort of under 10's mistake, and that stuff happens. But I really love how intense he is. I've been raving about Webster, the coach. However, I'm bemused. This has happened 2 weeks in a row. Tane Tuapiki has been on the bench for 2 weeks and hasn't played a minute, which means we're wasting an interchange, which I don't understand, which probably plays into Ford playing 80 minutes, Curran playing 80 minutes, and some of these big boppers getting so much time. Who would you think Tuapiki would be coming on for in that situation?
Yeah, I know. It's a real mystery. I mean, does this even happen in other teams? Have you? I've not seen this. Very rarely have I seen a player just stay on the bench for 80 minutes.
So Brad Arthur got a bit of grief for this last year when he put his son was on the bench covering the halves, Mitchell Moses and Dylan Brown. So he didn't come on because they were playing amazingly. And I just find it such a risk in this day and age where there seems to be so many injuries and now for good reason they're stauncher on the HIAs. It's a high probability you're going to lose one player in a game that can't come back. So if you don't have a viable replacement on the bench, then it really feels like you're putting yourself at a back seat to the other team who have got another rotation player, or we've got this young guy Sifakula, Dimitrik Sifakula, who I can't wait to see who keeps being on the extended bench, but he's someone who could cover a back spot or a forward spot. Because, if you lose a Pompey or a Vialia in the centres, you shuffle one of your back rowers, even Curran, into the centres. And so, yeah, we probably need a bigger body in there. But there's so much to like. The kicking game from Sean Johnson was... Let's just talk how good Sean Johnson was again. His kicking game's good as well.
Yeah, he's coming up with clutch plays as well. Sometimes in previous seasons when he was, before he went to the Sharks, it would just get a bit predictable, and it's just not anymore. It is anything can happen, but also because there's other ball players in the team. They're not just throwing the ball to Sean Johnson on the fifth tackle and going, okay, make some magic happen, because that's pretty easy to defend if you're the opposition. You just put 3 guys on Sean Johnson, and they got pretty predictable. But yeah, I just think maybe that's it. Maybe there's less pressure on him to make magic happen every time he touches the ball, so he's actually doing it.
You make an awesome point there, because even though he's playing so well, it definitely doesn't feel like the team is relying on him as such. So that, yeah, you're right. By not relying on him to make magic, that's the space for him to make magic. So it's also, if you look at the tries the Cowboys scored, they always seem to get stuff in wobbly situations. Granted, early Murray Taulagi, he gave DWZ a bit of a bath. He managed to get on the outside of him every time. DWZ sort of jagged inside a bit, trying to show him the sideline, but Taulagi's just too fast. So he was always 3 metres ahead and could get to the try line. The try by Ruben Cotter, which just was a fizzing pass back to Drinkwater that went behind him. Then he didn't know what to do and just glanced over, and Valentine Holmes was just running the perfect line that he kicked to. So that was a wee bit of that was a sort of fluke out of nowhere. And it was nerving me a bit that Kossi wasn't getting under high balls. He was letting them bounce, which is the difference when it's going to Chance, who just will never let a ball bounce. So, but Kossi had a blinder. He had managed to have a great captain's challenge where he somehow held on to the ball. That one where it sort of glued to his leg.
Yeah. And what I love about him even more is that he's really wound up Blocker Roach this weekend. And nothing makes me happier than when Blocker Roach is unhappy.
Oh, how did he wind up Blocker Roach? I've missed this.
Oh, so Blocker Roach is Steve Roach, eh?
Yeah.
That's the same guy. Yeah. Okay. I just had myself doubting myself then. He said that Kossi milked a penalty from staying down when he'd been collared. He got around the chin and he stayed down until he got a penalty, and then he basically said he got up as soon as the penalty was blown and was fine. And he said, it's that very Blocker Roach school of this is becoming soccer.
I can't stand that because it's contact to the head is a penalty.
Exactly.
That's what the rule is. So if you swing your arm out and it cracks someone in the head, that's a penalty. It's contact to the head. But it doesn't matter what Blocker Roach says because you can tune into the ACC covering these games. And what a season to jump on the boys, I tell you that. Been getting wonderful feedback. Shout out to MC Slave for tuning in. We've been getting some lovely listeners from around and about the Motu. And that's wrapped up the Warriors 22 over North Queensland 14. We're going to have a break and come back with a stonker of the week.
Not guilty, Your Honour.
Yeah, what are you getting the ref's room number, mate? You're back in the Export Beer Garden studios with myself, Di Henwood, and the man, the myth, the legend, the BOP ray of sunshine, Ben Hurley, Titans' biggest supporter.
Hey.
Hey, actually, you couldn't even get into Seabus if you wanted to. It's I think it was the Titans had their first sellout game since the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi. So that is a big shout out to them. And a
massive overturn of colonialism, Reece Walsh shat all over them.
Yeah, there was a bit of a downside, but good on Reece Walsh with your beautiful eyes bringing that game home. But now we're not talking about that game. We are going into our stonker of the week.
Now Cleary off the back of that, kicking from well inside his own 40. It's a tremendous kick, Nathan Cleary, getting the Panthers out of trouble. What a kick that was.
That's ridiculous.
More stuff. Hastings is waiting, wants to go now, goes across the field. Gamble has 2 field goals in his career. He's now got a third. What a kick by Tyson Gamble. And Cleary is there again, waiting calmly and coolly. He'll go once again. He strikes it. It's away to the right-hand side. No, it's good. Cleary's there again. He wants it now. The strike is a good one.
He's kicked it.
Cleary has done it again. Nathan Cleary wins it for Penrith in Golden Point.
That's a game that I wasn't expecting to be a stonker. And I must say, it was a joy hearing that Novocastrian crowd in Newcastle just going off. They were chanting, Newcastle. I haven't heard a crowd like that since Matthew Johns was on Pingers saying it's better than Lego. It was, what a crowd and what a game. And it's showing that those premiers can get pushed. The Penrith Panthers could be there for the taking, but even when they are, they still win, Ben.
Now, we had a podcast, I'm going to say it was about this round last year, where we said, are Newcastle good? and then it turned out that they were not good. But they don't look terrible this year. They're certainly on the improve. There's no doubt about that. But, beat the Warriors last week. We've only lost 2 games and one of them's Newcastle. And then they push the Premiers right to the very limit. They're not awful. They're okay. I don't know what it is, if it's a bit of heart, if it's some good signings. Tyson Frizzell is there. He's like RoboCop. He just seems to be strung together with, bits of machinery. And I think he's scored the last 2 weeks. I don't know what it is, but I like to see it.
Oh, it's absolutely superb. I mean, the thing is, I think that the most underrated fullback generally in the comp is from Penrith, and that's Dylan Edwards. He ran 225 metres off 19 runs. He was on fire. There was a bit of controversy in this. You mentioned the wonderful Tyson Frizzell. Love to watch him play. He had an interesting penalty going for the jersey of Jerome Luai, and ended up grabbing his hair and got penalised for a hair pull. And Gordon Tallis came out on the weekend with a very old school approach to things, saying that if your hair goes below your uniform, it should be yanked. That's
God. If Blocker Roach had said that, I wouldn't even blink. But Gordon Tallis, I thought's got a little bit more about him.
Yeah, I mean, I understand his point of view, because Tyson Frizzell did actually was holding his jersey, and he got his hair as well. So I think the thing is, the actual law says it has to be a deliberate hair pull. It can't be accidental. I don't think it was deliberate. So, I mean, I thought Tyson Frizzell was a bit hard done by then. I think Greg Marzu for the Titans, their winger, is just playing great football. And they're an interesting side. I didn't think that much of them. Then when they played us, they played great football. And they pushed the Premiers. So look, let's have a look at Golden Point. There's been a bit of chat about it on the various league sites that they had the toss of Golden Point, right? Penrith won the toss. They took going with the breeze behind them. That was a decent breeze. So the kickoff went to them. It landed quite shallow. They ran it up and kicked a drop goal. So they got one possession drop goal. Is that fair? Should each team get at least one possession? Because like in NFL, each team has to have one possession. Because you see, it completely goes down to the toss. I
know what you're saying, but, Penrith just have this freakish player who can kick drop goals from, it seems, anywhere in the opposition half. And that final drop goal, he made it look easy, and it was far from it. Oh,
he was by no means on the 20 or something. He was almost on the 40. It was a huge kick.
And not even right in front.
No, and when he hits it sweetly, it had plenty of room as well. Like I understand for the crowd, because it's almost like, 5 tackles, it's over. Yeah. But then that's Penrith. They just went into another gear, and I sort of feel that Newcastle had played their game at the 80 minutes. Like they were almost resigned to lose.
Yeah, and is Dane becoming the new Cameron Smith?
Oh, so much jibber jabber, eh?
Yeah,
so much.
Although he's not becoming the new Cameron Smith because Dane Gagai actually got penalised for dissent, where Cameron Smith never did.
Yeah, I thought Dane Gagai was a bit unlucky there because he wasn't talking to the ref, which was a bit weird. He was talking to another player.
And if we can just go back 10 metres, in terms of Jerome Luai, he seems like the kind of person who likes having their hair pulled.
Yeah, definitely.
Just like maybe gets off on a little bit.
Oh, his house is liniment and a sex swing, definitely. But I love this game. It's actually a testament to all the other games in the round pretty much. The NRL is stonk city this season. It is so good being able to tune into any game, whether it was yesterday, the Dragons and the Raiders, which went close. That's not a game I'd normally enjoy that much.
No, that's right. And could I just make the point, though, that every game was close in this, except maybe the Titans-Broncos one, but even that was a comeback from the Broncos. But every game was tight in this round because the Tigers weren't playing.
Completely. That weirdly, I just was looking at that score, 43-26 of the Broncos. When you were watching the first 60 minutes of that game, it felt a lot closer than that.
Oh, absolutely. And then the Titans scored with 10 minutes to go to get up to 26. And even then it seemed like slightly possible that they could come back. I know, Adam Reynolds kicked a drop goal right at the end to make it a score that I'm going to suggest has never, ever been in rugby league ever, 43-26. I don't reckon that's ever been a score.
A very weird number. But we do have a bit of a special mention game that I know Hurls and I both thoroughly enjoyed. It was the Manly Sea Eagles 18 beating the Melbourne Storm 8. This is an unpopular opinion, but I've always had a soft spot for the Sea Eagles, even though they're quite a hated team actually in the NRL. But I like a lot of their players.
They're because I think the thing is they go that dislikement. That's not a word. The fact that they're disliked is because they were kind of the Melbourne Storm of Sydney back in the day. Yeah, and that they came into the competition with a lot of money and just stole players from other teams.
And then won.
and then won, yeah. So, yeah, that's why they are definitely a polarizing team. But I do, yeah, again, I have the same thing. I have this slight soft spot for Manly, and it was just nice to see them take down the Storm and at Brookvale as well.
They play great football. Tommy Trbojevic is an interesting case. He started the game looking amazing that he is going to blow it open, but then he never gets going. He looks a bit sensitive. I know we'll be talking about him, myself and Adam Pomana, the producer, on the Supercoach podcast, about him in a Supercoach point of view, but in a playing point of view, he does look like he's nursing some sort of injury.
Yeah, it's the same thing I would say as Jason Taumalolo for the Cowboys. It's just these great players that just seem to be, nursing something or just, I don't know, feels like they're low on energy or something.
Yeah, they're just not cracking into high gear, eh?
Yeah, it's motivation is a strange thing, and certainly both those. Tommy Turbo didn't play much of last year, but when he did play, he was certainly motivated, as was Jason Taumalolo. But this year it's not there. I don't know what it is. And just maybe they need a little trip to the toilets with Kalen Ponga before the game or something.
He can
up their energy,
hold their hair back as they have 26 lines. Now, Daly Cherry Evans. He's a player that Manly fire when he's playing well. He's had a couple of off games, but he is all over this game. He was kicking the penalties when they needed to be kicked, and he was unlocking the back line. And for me, Melbourne struggle to play when a team's running really freestyle football, and that's what Manly did, when they're constantly running back plays and going side to side. Melbourne like to lock a game up, slow down the ruck, and play on their terms. And Manly just threw caution to the wind.
And it was a bruising encounter, is a nice way to say that there was heaps of biff.
Oh, talking about bruising encounters, I feel very sorry for Justin Olam's ribs. Olakawato just folded him in half with what one of those tackles that I showed to my son and was like, that is how you tackle. Right under the ball. You're perfectly bent over at 90 degrees. You know, one of those things that's a full-on hard tackle, but it's clean as a whistle. That's so nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, there was plenty of off-the-ball stuff as well. That was definitely a nice within the rules situation. But yeah, there's real feeling between those two teams, I guess, since the famous Battle of Brookvale.
I watched that with my son. We sat down and I went through YouTube showing him the best rugby league fights over the last 20 years. Or it may be longer. We started with Greg Tamati and Kevin Dowling.
Is that good parenting? I'm not sure. Is that the one where they're still fighting when they go up the tunnel?
Yeah, and Tamati does the ones where Warriors pull a jersey over the head, then just uppercut him while he can't move. It's it's classic because I need and you know, we live in Avondale, mate. You know, I've got to show him how to get to the dairy and back.
Got to defend himself, yeah. Yeah.
But there we go. That was the special mention. Very shortly, we'll have Off the Back Fence.
Not guilty, Your Honour.
Yeah, what are you getting the ref's room number, mate? Welcome back to the ACC's Mad Monday live from the Export Beer Garden studio. Before we get into Off the Back Fence, let's have a look at the TAB Good Punt, because what we're trying to do is turn our money into $1,000, and when it gets there, we're going to divvy it up amongst the listeners. That's the kind of people we are. For this coming week, we've got quite an intriguing combo that's been put together by Tino Fa'asua Manaia Stewart, and it is Brisbane Broncos to win, Cronulla Sharks to win, Manly Sea Eagles to win, and the Sydney Roosters to win. Our total stake is $100. It is paying $2.3788, so we could win $137 on that. If we do, that would get us closer to our $1,000 because sadly, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whatever you identify with, rugby league listeners, we didn't win on the weekend. We went for the mad tarantula. We went 8 to try and tip 8 out of 8, which would have been a phenomenal multi. Once again, picked by Tino Fa'asua Manaia Stewart. But we only got 6 out of 8. And however, Sandor Hurls, you did better than that, didn't you?
Yeah. Hurley Farnworth here. I tipped 8 from 8. I'm in our little tipping league. I'm definitely last. I think we talked about it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, how I tipped 13 out of 40 at one point. But I got 100%. I got the Sharks over the Roosters and the Sea Eagles over the Storm, and everything else basically went to the favourite, including the Warriors over the Cowboys. So when you get a couple upsets early, you're looking pretty good for the rest of the weekend.
Tidy work. Well, good luck for us. Send us all your love and luck, because if we win, you could win. The closer we get to $1,000, the closer we get to divvying out that cash. But right now, I've got that feeling in my loins. It's time to come off the back fence.
Here it comes.
Oh, a long kickoff. The offload to Hedward, and he's got the back fence. Boom time.
Get out of calendar, you dick. Yeah, that's right. Get out of bloody calendar and look when State of Origin is on. It's not for ages, but let me tell you what's winding me up. Let me tell you what's getting me stressed out. Wendell Saylor, Wally Lewis, already talking about how Queensland are underdogs for State of Origin. This is absolute rubbish. Queensland have never been underdogs, maybe way back in the day. They're going into this as people... Queensland have won 25 out of 12 series over the last 8 years. They've won so many games, it's absolutely ridiculous. The fact that they dare call themselves underdogs, they've got a stacked forward pack. They're bringing in the beautiful the beautiful Reece Walsh. He's got eyeliner. He's got pecs. He's everything. You know, he's just the abs, the drain pipes, the legs. He's got it all. You want to see him run? He's going to run. New South Wales, we don't know what we're doing. We didn't pick Adokar last time. He's out. Jack Wighton said he doesn't want to play State of Origin anymore today. So, look, Queensland, you are going in. You are favourites. The only time, you know what, though? I hope that you do go in the underdog, so then the odds are against you, and we can have a TAB good punt, putting all our cash on Queensland to win, because you know what? You're going to bloody win, because you always win. You ruin it for everybody. You ruin it for everybody. You are the guy in the bathroom whacking off when everyone else is just trying to go for a wee.
There's a perfect metaphor for the Queensland rugby league side.
Okay, so there we have it. That is Mad Monday in the books for round 7 of the NRL. Don't forget to tune in to the commentary. It's a bit later because the Warriors aren't playing till Tuesday, not like tomorrow, like a next Tuesday, Anzac Day against the Melbourne Storm, which is usually a brutal death match. You're going to have Manaia and Hurley on that call. Can't wait to listen. Otherwise, enjoy your week.
See ya. Go to the bathroom.